Let's raise the Regency roof.
It's live. It lives. Okay, there we go. All right. I've gone back to OBS, so you will, Jay. This is for you, buddy. You will have a high
Mhm,
quality video experience.
mhm.
This is, and the minor fact
Oh
that
my
I've
god.
massively upgraded my internet this week, it will hopefully also help. Um, I have almost got a gigabit download. It's
Amazing.
kind of amazing. I didn't think that would happen. All right, so since last we saw our intrepid adventurers who had a horrible experience, but then were able to appease the Roman goddess by flicking a few gold coins at her and making her happy. So she's happy now. Thank you, Anna Matea. Um,
The cultures were less happy.
Mm.
well, we've been sacrificing people for hundreds of years through a fundamental misunderstanding of the original Roman tradition. Yeah, sure. How many men have we killed to appease the goddess who really was just shopping around for a gold coin? But you now find
I think a better
yourselves.
question would be,
sorry.
how many did you kill that did deserve it?
How many what? Sorry, Lily?
Oh, sorry, I was just saying, how many did they kill that didn't deserve it? That might be a more accurate
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Well, and the CAD
Mhm.
did manage to avoid the ultimate fate, actually, of being sacrificed, that is, because he didn't get sacrificed, because you didn't give him to the gods.
Yeah, but he still ended up dead.
Mr.
Yeah,
Culverton.
although we've heard tell.
That's true. Things came a cropper and his odium spread far and wide. Anyway, you now are travelling.
But on the upside.
On the
I
upside.
was going to say on the upside, my family's expanded.
It has. You
There we
managed
go.
to marry off one of your children. Tick. Now,
All right, carry on. Sorry.
No, that's all good. And now what you're doing is you are on your way to London, having had time to take in the airs and relax. You're travelling through the night in a carriage paid for by the Viscountess Purbeck. It's dark and shadowy. The roads are not well lit. This is during the period where the postal service was given investigatorial and prosecutorial powers so that it could arrest highwaymen and hang them, because they were so prevalent on the roads following things like the end of the Napoleonic Wars, when suddenly a whole bunch of soldiers had nothing better to do with their time and had no way of making an income, that they were robbing people. So you are travelling on the roads in the Viscountess Purbeck's trip. You have a carriage, you have two people at the front. The horses are loud and you can hear the jangling and the jingling. You're all in the carriage. Our good man, the Frenchman, is somewhere else, possibly travelling ahead, possibly behind. Reginald is behind. I think we'll rule that Reggie is somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that we might have sent him off to Pellyford to acquire the list of things that we would need whilst in London that we did not have.
And he will join you soon. Now, as you travel through the roads, I actually had the chance to look at most of your character sheets during the week for various reasons of entertaining myself. Can I get people who have desperate fears of darkness and dark woods? Because there's a bit of that going on. Some people have long-term mental health conditions associated with prior trauma. Who are those people? If I could just have them self-identify, thank you.
I think that I do as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be
Gun
just
of the
open up
woods.
that character sheet right there, and you'll be able to see it. It'll be right there. In answer to your question, I believe also it is you.
Backstory.
Ah, you know what? You know what it was? Because we did that downtime, and I wasn't able to overcome that fear, right?
Correct.
Yeah. It's so easy to forget, but so easy to remember.
That's right. So as you ride through the night, obviously this is a deeply disturbing and uncomfortable experience
Mm.
for two of you at least. Um, and when you look out the windows at night, Eliza, what when you see out into the darkness, out into this completely unlit night where it's just pitch black, there is, the moon has started to pass back to being a new moon, so the light is fading in the evenings. You no longer have the full moon that you had just a couple of days ago. What do you see? Like, what does Eliza see in the shadow?
I think I see just like behind every corner and in every dark place, just the silhouette of a man. And sometimes in my mind's eye, he wears the face of Sir Culverton. And other times in my mind's eye, uh, he wears the face of Duplessis. And yeah, just like kind of, I think that this experience of being poisoned and as well kind of like uh, consistently being kind of talked down to and kind of sidestepped and what have you, has it made her really wary of what men can do behind closed doors. So I think that really hits her, and the fact that we're going into London, right? Because this is right around the time, or maybe before the time, maybe after the time of Jack the Ripper. Um,
Oh, it's much earlier than that, but still,
okay, great. Well, but irrespective,
there's
at this
murder
time in
and death and
history,
violence all over the place.
yes, exactly. And I think that, although of course we will be going to kind of like a higher status area, that's kind of more pleasant, etc. You still have to drive that carriage through the outskirts of London to be able to get there. And I think that kind of weighs heavily on her mind, particularly now as, the post office has been given the prosecutorial powers. Are we going to be accosted on the way? Are people going to jump through the window and have at us? I think that's really making her wary as she kind of like, fiddles with the clasp on her cloak, um, as the carriage continues to clip clop on.
Nice. And Viscountess Purbeck, what do you see in the darkness that causes you such fear? And are you the one that has the particular fear of dark forests?
Yes, the woods.
The woods.
So when it's like open plains, like farmlands on either side, it's dark and I am nervous for my wards. But I know that I've got PC and, the footmen on the carriage and the carriage drivers have got shotguns, like we're protected. Um, but when there's forest beside the road, then she's really gripped by the fear, like the creaking sounds of the trees blowing and moving in the wind that sound like that creature, the headless creature, and definitely remembering the shape of that like that massive torso with no head. That was awful, and so that's what she kind of sees between the trees. It's like, oh no, that was a tree stump. That was a tree stump. It's not a headless torso.
Um, and Georgiana Wentworth, you are now sharing your headspace with a voice that pretty constantly sort of is now talking to you. Like it's become, since you've called upon its assistance a few times, every time you call upon its assistance, it gets kind of more persuasive and certainly more present. Um, and you kind of feel a little bit like you're being pushed sort of into a corner of your own brain by this presence that is constantly sort of talking to you and making suggestions and providing helpful guidance on things you could do, like what you could do to that person that annoyed you yesterday and how we could make them never annoy you again, or how easy it would be for you to, sort of take what it's already willing to teach you and expand it and do more than you already do. So you're sitting in this darkened carriage riding, and I'm just wondering, like, what's the conversation like inside your head right now? Like, what are you talking to this voice about?
Okay. Um, am I allowed to sort of riff off some things from last time, or
Absolutely. Completely up to you
okay, Georgiana?
what's
Something
going
that
on.
has been playing on her mind a lot. Um, so a few before they left, one day she woke up and she found that her hands and the bed sheets had smears of what looked like blood on them, and she saw feathers in the bed as well. And she quickly washed it off and cleared everything up. But then a few days later, they heard that Culverton had died. The voice in her head, it's just convincing her, no, that it was just a coincidence. If he had many enemies, any of them could have done it. Um, and she sort of deliberately tries not to find anything out, but she happened to overhear the rector and Reginald, I believe they were looking into it, talking about it one day. She was in the library reading, and well, often people don't notice her because she is, very quiet. She was in a corner, and the two of them, they come in, they don't notice she's there, and they start talking about it, telling the details, and that really scared her. Um, but at the same time, the things that the voices are saying, it is very convincing. There's one side of her, and probably a few weeks ago, this would have been the more dominant one. There should be more to this life than just balls and dancing and getting married and being a good wife, having kids, all this sort of thing. This path everyone wants to set you on. There needs it just looks like darkness stretching ahead of blandness and grey and shadow and what is there in there. But then now she met someone and they have been secretly exchanging letters and she feels a connection to this person now, and so maybe that life isn't so bad. But then the voice tells her about these things, these powers that could be hers, this life that could be more than that. And now there's just those two sides fighting together or trying to pull her two separate ways. And sometimes it's just getting difficult to decide which way she should go.
Rector, you've been, reasonably secure in your religious confidence and obliviousness to everyone else's magic. You're very convinced, though, that Eliza is secretly, or perhaps not so secretly anymore, um, willing to practice magic of a dark and mysterious kind at the drop of a hat. Um, you're surrounded by these people who are in various states of moral collapse, really. Like, so, particularly the two wards, right? Like, that both of them have trucked with, you know, magic. And particularly dark magic. Like, there's no debate in your mind that, both of them have at various points at least had some connection. You know that Georgiana had answers to questions that shouldn't have been answerable. You know that Eliza was basically dragging around a sacrificial dagger and was, pretty clearly looked jonesing for a reason to jam it into someone. Um, just to see what happens, Eliza. I mean, I've got the blade. Oh, look, you were stabbed 42 times in the back. Um, to quote the famous line from, I think, the second edition D&D book, about the paladin who's found in the water. Um, I guess the question is, what does the rector think of all of this? Like, you've got this kind of, you've got this very wealthy patron who effectively means, I mean, they're nice, but the reality is you don't have to pay for anything. Like, you're living well above your normal means in this relationship you have with the Viscountess. You got to go to Europe, you got to travel around. Like, it's all kind of very comfortable. You have this incredibly comfortable life. Your children now run your parishes on your behalf. Like, you,
Yes.
you're just kind of gallivanting around with this rich elderly widow, um, and not really, but you still remember the days when you were a passionate, believer in God and a fighter for justice, and here you are in your 70s now, surrounded by these women falling apart and into moral decay, with your whole lifestyle funded by this rich, wealthy patron. So what do you think about, like, what does that look like for you?
Um, I guess that I'm kind of just biding my final years and enjoying what I can, knowing that I don't have any real major concerns for my children anymore. Um, my beloved Petunia passed away 15 years ago, so really that connection isn't there anymore as far as feeling and smelling her and all those things that you get used to. So having new experiences kind of helps, and it increases the knowledge and things. As far as the wards go, and and others around in Harringford and the region, it is concerning. I mean, there is a certain amount of leash that you give young people to explore their lives, but there's the leash is starting to feel a bit tighter lately as they go off in their unusual directions. Um, and I guess I see myself as being present when they need me to be there to try and get them out of this rut. But I've known over my years that you can basically lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink from the font of God unless they want to do that. So part of my mission is to try and dull that darkness in some way and try and keep them on that edge so that they can lean back into God and what is true and virtuous.
Does the rector really believe in God, or does the rector just kind of,
No, he really believes in God.
okay? So
Yeah,
is
he
it
believes that God has a plan for everybody.
okay?
It's just sometimes that plan puts them right on the edge there. Sometimes they tip over. But it's I can only give a guiding hand to the good side of things.
Okay, so as you're all sort of having these thoughts and you're in the carriage riding towards London in the dark and in the darkness, and you're moving through these darkened woods, all thinking about these various things, Georgiana Wentworth suddenly screams, "Beware!" at the top of her voice. She has no control over this moment. Georgiana, you have no control. It's just shouted from your mouth. It's a sort of, it's a deeper voice than the one Georgiana uses. Beware of death. Beware of darkness. Beware of the thing that strips light and hope and leaves only the living death behind. This just comes out of her mouth in the middle of this ride. Georgiana, you feel the thing that lives in your head sort of take your mouth and use it to say these words, and then it goes away. Like, you feel it not in your head all of a sudden. You feel like it's gone and maybe hidden or run away or something. Like, it feels a definitive sense of it's vacated the space quite deliberately.
And I guess that she's initially shocked at this because it's the first time that it's not been there in a very long time, definitely since the Buxton episode. So that sudden absence back to what it was, before when there was only one person in her head is momentarily shocking. But then she realizes that I'm assuming the others are staring at her in surprise.
Mhm.
And she pretends that she's just woken up and that it was a dream. Oh, I'm so sorry. I had the horrible dream. We were back in the North Lake Manor, and I'm so sorry to startle you all. I don't know what came over me.
Oh, dear Miss Georgiana, what a dreadful dream you must have had. My heart feels like it's going to pound out my body.
But it wasn't even her voice.
Oh? What do you mean, Rector?
You heard it. It was gruff and more deeper, more sinister.
Oh, oh, I, I don't even know what to make of that.
Can I get all of you to make listen rolls? You will need at least hard success.
Does Georgiana make a listen roll or no?
Actually, yeah, no, you can. You heard the voice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go.
Goddamn
Very
Rector.
good.
Every
Yes, our
single
Rector.
screaming
Rector is
time.
on it this episode.
He's on top. He's That's actually brilliant. You literally got exactly half. Well, effectively exactly half. Nicely done.
Why
So
waste the extra?
why waste the extra exactly? You actually recall the voice. Like you think about it for a second, it's the voice of the woman you met centuries ago who was trapped
Oh,
in the town.
you mean the one that chucked me on the pyre?
Yeah, that one. Oh no, you were chucked on the pyre by the. Oh, maybe she did. I can't remember who chucked you on the pyre. I thought it was the knife wielding guy, but
Yeah,
it was all a bit
pretty sure it
confusing. It's been
was.
a while. Yes.
You see me look very uncomfortable at this memory. It's like, um, let me just ask you a question, Georgiana. Did you make a new friend when we went to that place with the owl doing the loop and the sacrifices? Because it's a little bit odd from after
Do you
that.
mean Mr. Duplessis?
No,
I've,
no. The
I've
voice, the voice that I heard was familiar from our time when we first arrived, well, supposedly arrived, and entered into that older world with magic and druids and the woman with her special owl. That
I
creature.
I can't explain. I can't explain that. I'm sorry, Rector. I I'm I was only just waking from sleep myself, so if you say that is what I sounded like, then perhaps that is the case. But I can not say one way or the other.
I see. I
By the way, the
see.
woman's name was Sarah Brown.
Sarah Brown. Um, I've seen people wake up in church many times.
Um,
um, I kind of don't really believe her.
Yep. Which
So,
is completely within your, completely within your
yep,
rights. Yep.
yep. Okay. Right. So you don't remember anything whatsoever.
well, I remember I was having a terrible dream about the what happened at the North Lakes. I still don't know how much of that was real and how much was not, but I I wanted everyone to not get hurt, and then next thing I knew, you were all staring at me, and said something, but I know that I said something, but I'm not sure what it was exactly.
Oh, okay. We'll repeat it back to her.
Okay.
Uh, yeah.
Um, you don't have a point of reference for it, Georgiana. It's just words.
Yeah. I mean, at I assume she was sort of making up that she was asleep because it's pretty disturbing to her as well, and
Yeah.
she's been having these spells sometimes where she'll find herself somewhere and can't remember getting there, as if she hasn't been in control of her body. So this is just another one she's trying to cover up, I guess.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, perhaps you should rest a little then.
Yes,
He said,
I think that
adjusting
would be
himself
best.
uncomfortably in his carriage.
I'm going to fish into my bag and see if I have got something, some bottle that will have, I don't know, maybe laudanum or something that would help her sleep.
Okay. I just remembered I was meant to put on the noise suppression one. Sure. She's on.
Mm. And I'm also going to check on Miss Hastings to make sure that she is feeling okay and not too frightened by what her cousin just yelled out.
Well, while you do that, you both are like so. The rector is interrogating um, uh,
The
Georgiana.
Spanish Inquisition, you
Yeah, um, and at the same time, you are both looking out the windows. Oh, that's not
Yeah.
right. Um,
Yeah, I imagine they're on one side, and perhaps the curtains were closed because Georgiana was sleeping.
yeah,
Maybe on our side, the windows, the curtains are open. Maybe.
Mm.
yeah.
We don't want to look, but we do want to look because we don't
Yeah,
want to
Well,
close to, yeah, like to not see.
I I think it makes sense as well that like Eliza, like maybe at some point you asked whether I'd like them closed, and I think Eliza was very strident on wanting them open. She's just been I think she kind of can't help herself but look into the gloom. Um, I think it's that kind of feeling that you get where you're like I don't want to be frightened and actually see something, but I want to check to make sure there is actually nothing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely that
yeah.
feeling.
so as your eyes are almost magnetically drawn through, the somewhat difficult to see through glass of the carriage because it's not like it's high quality glass or any of that sort of thing. So it's kind of,
Mm,
sort of foggy and a bit. But you realize you must be traveling through a graveyard because you're looking out the window and you can
mm,
see this stone, these two figures made of stone, one of whom is an angel. So with these drooping wings and this saddened hanging face, um, uh, and it's a she angel. It's a female angel,
mhm,
very obviously female, um, and next to them, holding what looks like some sort of rope or chain wrapped around the throat of the angel, is another figure, cold and stone, but more like ash than the sort of grey of stone. So a more sort of light
mm,
grey, sort of powdery colour. Standing much taller than the angel, and the angel is very tall. So the angel is well above human height, or at least you think so.
mm,
And you go past them, you see them just sort of there, and you think, oh, that's a bit weird. And then a minute later, as this conversation is going on behind you, You go past them again, and they're closer to the carriage, and the angel is now wings unfurled, screaming in rage, and the figure holding the chain is pointing at your carriage.
I'm bang on the roof, or like, is there like a little
Yeah,
flap or
you've
something where I
probably
can
got like a
talk
little
through to the
bell thing
driver?
that you can pull on that rings the bell next to the driver so they know to stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm like, driver, go fast.
Go faster.
Yeah.
All right, well, that definitely isn't the bell. You sort of have to poke your head out the sort of pull down the shutter and yell at the driver through the window.
Yeah.
So you suddenly start to yell, "Driver, go faster!" The driver's like, "What?" It's pitch black. I can barely see. But sure, and starts to ride the carriage faster and sort of drives it faster. You're going faster now. I mean, and then you go past again, and and there it is again, the same two figures, another minute down the road. And this time
Right.
she's kneeling and somehow beseeching you with her hands open, not dissimilar to the way Anna Matea had her hands open, but to bring you a motif. You have dealt with moving statues that hold their hands out recently. Um, she's begging and holding her hands out
Mm.
like this, and the figure is standing above her, holding what looks like the end of the rope that was used to tie around the head of the neck, sorry, of the angel. Now using it almost like a whip to strike the angel. And you can see the angel is doing this on its knees at you, and there's this figure above it reaching down to strike it.
I'm definitely grabbing the rector. Like, and
I
pointing out the window.
What the statues? That's a bit unusual to have the statues in that
No,
pose.
Rector. By the time you get the Rector to the window, you've gone past the statues. Like you're going fast now. You've got the carriage
Yeah.
going madly
Okay.
fast. So you grab the Rector and
I think
Why are we travelling so fast, my darling? Yes. Yes.
I think that because can the carriage windows wind down?
no, you just pull them down.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, cool. So I think that Eliza actually pulls down the window on her side,
Yeah.
and it opens like puts her head out the window and kind of looks around as we're kind of hurtling through the darkness. And the second that we see it again, I think she's going to scream to the carriage driver to stop.
Okay.
Because
All
she's
right.
very interested to understand, like, firstly, whether this changes, and secondly, what is the dynamic here between that angel and the person? It was angry, now it's prostrate, it's being whipped. What is happening? It seems to be coming closer to us. At some point, we're going to run over it and then crash. We might as well stop.
So you're waiting. So you pull the window down. You're all now leaning out one side of the carriage because they're obviously on that side. So
yeah,
all
yeah.
three of you, and Georgiana's going, but it was about me. What's going on? And then the windows have been wound down, or pulled down rather. You've all got your heads leaning out. You've got the rector, assumedly trying to can. Well, what are you saying to the rector? What are you saying to the rector, Viscountess?
Well, it's going to be pretty garbled because I am very frightened and shocked. And like, Rector, there's the angel and the statue. Yeah, it's around the neck. And I was close. And, and she's on her knee. And I'm whipping on.
I don't know what to do with that.
No, there's probably not much to do with it.
Hey, well, there are a lot of statues. We're going through a graveyard. There's lots of statues. And
Are we still? Is this? We're still in the graveyard.
So it was. So when you saw the angel statue and the other things, you assumed you were in a graveyard. But when you look out when you look out into the darkness, all you see are trees going out forever. You're riding through a forest on your way to
tree
London.
limbs can be rather deceptive and look like limbs of people and beasts and things.
It was not a tree. Eliza, tell him you saw it too.
I like hearing the kind of loud conversation, like, my head's out the window and then I kind of like pop back in, my head's all kind of, frizzled now. And I just kind of, I point my finger directly at the rector and I'm like, for heaven's sake, listen to us. We have seen not one, not two, but three statues that were in the exact same pose, exact same position, coming closer and closer and closer. With everything that we have seen, with everything that you have witnessed as a man of God, do you not believe us? We are saying that we are being haunted by statues.
It isn't just the carriage going in circles and getting closer to the statues.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm terrified, and I put my head out again. And I'm like curiously looking around, being like, "Are we going in a weird 360-degree round turn? Doesn't seem like it."
Your orbs are getting quite unstable, lady.
So you're looking out the window furiously, Eliza, at this point, and you're looking for that statue, right? Like you're looking really carefully into the darkness.
Well, this is, and I think part of the reason why I kind of went off a little bit, other than the fact that it's fun as a role play, is that this is exactly what she feared she would see in the dark, right? Something terrifying, something unknowable. Obviously, like, she can't really tell what this thing holding the rope is necessarily, but it seems masculine, right? From the fact that it's dominating this feminine angel.
Yep.
And I think that from her perspective, this is exactly what she didn't want to see, but at the same time is compelled to see it. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
No, that's good. So as you're staring pointedly into the darkness, looking for that statue to come back, and when you look so desperately into the darkness, you see the trees going past, then suddenly you see a face, but it's gone, and it was really hard to see. It was like gone for it, like it was just there for a second, and then it's gone, and then you see it again, and this time just a little bit longer, and what you begin to realize is you're seeing Sir Culverton's face in the darkness, but it's kind of looking at you from the trees, and just in all the little places in the trees where there's shadow but just a little bit of the moonlight, just enough to illuminate it, and you just see these kind of white face, and you see Culverton's face looking at you.
100%. I think that, because the thing was is that I was like, I'll just look there. That's what my head is saying. Maybe it'll be a Culverton-esque thing. That's a fancy, right? That's not reality. And yet now I've seen something different. And so I've got that false positive that something's out there. And really looking, I now get confirmation of what I'm seeing. I think that is probably a sanity roll for me, and probably as well, if you're happy for it, and
definitely a sanity roll for you.
And as well, I think that I scream at the top of my lungs.
Yeah.
Is she still packing the dagger?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Two.
Right. One thing that I'm probably doing is I'm not turning my back on the wards as much as what I used to.
Don't worry, you're not in any danger.
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll make that roll. Here we go.
Will you? Will you make that roll?
Will I?
You
Yes, I
will
do.
your sanity.
Hurrah!
Yay!
Nice.
Okay, whatever it is that you saw in the darkness, you're able to sort of do the whole there's no place like home, there's no place like home, there's no place like home.
Yeah, I scream, like I shriek, really. And it's probably like one of those things where it like echoes in the forest. You know, it's one of those like it sounds like the shriek of a banshee. Um, and I then just kind of like I just like pull myself back into the carriage, into my seat, and just like I'm flat up against the wall, and I'm just like,
Disheveled.
it's okay, it's all right, it's all right, it's all right.
It's been a very long trip. We haven't done one of these big trips before, have we, Eliza? I'm
Shut up.
sure everything's fine. You've had a very, very troubling time lately.
Just just like she's just so not wanting. She's like barely keeping her cool in this moment, and it's just like I don't want to be placated. I, I don't want to. I don't want any authority figure, including myself, trying to say anything placating to me in this moment. It reminds me a lot of when I was younger, and whenever I would like when I was younger, I used to like fall over a lot, so I was a bit like top heavy, and I would fall over sometimes and get winded, and I'd be like unable to breathe. And my mom would like come to me and she'd be like, "Oh my God, what's the matter? What's the matter? You okay? Why are you speaking? Are you okay?" Blah blah. And it was I feel like Eliza has that same thing of like when I'm having a moment, I don't need to have to comfort anyone else. I
Right.
need everybody. Like that's kind of very much what she's feeling in this moment. She's like, shut up, ah, and just trying to retreat into herself and center herself.
Yes.
Okay, so you guys are all having a moment. Um, by the way, Viscountess, you've got the rector now who's distracted because he's dealing with Eliza losing their shit and in the corner and has now turned to them. While he's looking back at Eliza, talking to her, you go past the statues again, but this time you see the stone angel has been shattered into 1,000 pieces on the ground, and there's broken feathers and broken wings and broken bits of stone um, arms and legs just on the ground, scattered around. And crawling all over this broken statue, you see these rotting corpses who are all sort of shoveling the bits of the broken angel into their mouth. And standing above them is the figure that was holding the chain. Um, and it's larger than it was before and more powerful, and you find your eyes drawn directly to it, and you hear this name in your head as your eyes are drawn to it, Toggerini. And all hail she of the living death, Toggerini. And then you can make a sanity roll.
Oh my God, I'm wailing, wailing.
Good Lord, not you as well.
Nope.
And I'm so proud of that.
That's a
so
nope.
good. Yeah.
That's
so.
a nope. I think a D6 feels about right.
Yeah. Yeah. What is going on with it? Okay. Now I can roll it.
Ah,
Death.
look at that. You laugh in the face of darkness.
but are slightly unnerved by it.
but are slightly unnerved. Exactly.
Wow. We are really lucky as a group.
You're
I don't
sa-
know.
I'm pretty sure that out of the last adventure we ran, most of you went up in sanity.
I did. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the even I started with. So I'm
Yeah.
good. But oh, Viscountess is just she's not screaming. She is just wailing,
Mm.
like heartbroken. Because she's just like, oh my gosh, was this my fault? Like the angel's been killed because I was too scared to stop and I told the driver to go faster and now it's been destroyed and there's just hideous undead creatures eating it. It was just like so horrific. And she's distraught, absolutely like heartbroken, thinking, it's my fault. I should have cared for it. Because that kind of thing is so important to her to care. She's like always taking care of everybody, taking care of her children. Now she's taking care of the wards. She feels very responsible for everyone.
Mm.
So just now she feels responsible for this angel that she'd been too scared to help.
I feel like you have on one side, on like one seat is Eliza just kind of breathing heavily. On the other opposite side you have a wailing mechanic. It's just it's a very emotional time. Um
My
Georgiana.
lord.
Oh, sorry,
Yes.
Rector. Well, actually, no, Georgiana. So this is all going down around you. You no longer have the counsel, if you will, of the second voice that was actually really useful for exactly these sorts of problems. The second voice seemed to have a pretty good handle on weird shit going on, and actually often provided quite effective and direct answers to, sort of complex questions of what should we do about the weird thing that's going on. Um, what's Georgiana doing right now while people lose their shit left, right, and center around you?
Um, I think that she's still getting used to the fact that suddenly this voice is no longer in her head, and after it had been there for so long, especially lately, it's been getting there almost all the time. So even though it's not necessarily a bad thing, because it had been partially worrying her, but also partially, she'd been drawn to it. So now there's that. Everyone is losing their shit around her, and she's like, at least this is a great distraction because now no one is concentrating on me, which is exactly how she likes it. But at the same time, it's sort of, again, torn between two things. She's glad no one's paying attention to her, but she's really worried about the other two and what is happening to them because obviously something is going wrong. She doesn't know if it's just in their heads after all of the experiences they've had. And she knows that even though Eliza has been trying to be really, really brave, she knows that something in Eliza has changed since that time with Culverton. And she'd actually been like harboring this rage against him before that because she knew that he had done something to her. And she's still really worried. But at the same time, it seems that Eliza doesn't want anyone to comfort her. So she's very torn. She really wants to comfort Eliza because she wants the old Eliza back. Um, but at the same time, she knows that Eliza doesn't seem to want anyone to help her at the moment. And she's just looking like between the Viscountess and Eliza and the Rector and just trying to figure out what to do because she wants to help someone, but she's frozen with sort of indecision.
So I will make the point that both Georgiana and the Rector can choose to make reassure rolls if they would like, to try and calm down or assist in the calming down of Eliza and the Viscountess.
How are we sitting in the carriage at the moment? Like, who is next to who or who is facing who, sort of thing?
I think I am facing Eliza and I have the rector sitting next to me.
yeah, that's what I thought
That's
too
what
in
I
my
had.
mind's
Okay.
eye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then Eliza and Georgiana are sitting on the other side. Yep.
Um, I think Georgiana might try to reassure Eliza then. Um, she'll just put a hand on her shoulder, maybe, just very lightly, um, just to try say there's someone here, but
Mm.
not necessarily like she doesn't. The last thing she wants to do is try to say, "Oh, there's nothing there; it's all in your head," sort of thing, in any way. but she's just trying to say there's someone here and, like, maybe bring her back to the real world a bit.
Okay, make a reassure roll for me, please.
Okay,
Yes, indeed. It's a hard success.
Oh, wow! Very good. I was so prepared to reward a failure, and I had a first thing I wanted to say to you, but let's roll with it.
next time.
But hold on, you
Yeah.
succeeded. Well, I don't know how to handle success. What do I do with
Yeah.
success? I can't lounge up success.
I
All right.
know.
Trapped by the person's success. And Rector, would you like to attempt to do a reassure roll on the Viscountess?
I would. We're taking some passages from the good book.
Okay. Good.
These
Yeah,
will be very efficacious, I'm sure.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Robust.
Casting all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Okay,
Just cast them.
hang on. Casting my dice now. Reassure. There we go.
Be fine.
Oh, 2 points
I'll
off.
put 2 luck in that.
Nicely done.
Very
Nicely
good.
done. All right. So you get a success, and obviously, Viscountess, you feel the calming presence of the rector, your stalwart companion, your safe harbor,
Spiritual
Yeah.
advisor.
spiritual advisor.
And that's right. And like I am truly a God fearing woman, and that's why I have a spiritual advisor. He also knows a lot about art. That's also very helpful to me.
It is.
Um, yeah, so I find his words deeply reassuring to the extent that they can be, but I think this is going to be something really harboring in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not forgetting this anytime soon. Let me go give that to you for free.
Yeah.
Can I just say that, like, as Georgiana puts her hand on my shoulder to reassure me, I think that I do, like, she puts it here, and I do kind of put my arm up, or my hand up to grasp it, and I kind of turn to her and I say thank you. Um, I keep seeing things, and it's dark out there, and I don't know what. I don't know what's in this forest. I don't know what these images mean, these vile portents, what their omens be, but you did say something. You said that only the living dead will be behind, and an angel statue lies dead. Stay close to me, cousin. This is only the beginning, I fear.
And Georgiana doesn't really know what precisely to reply, but she just squeezes her shoulder and, in a sort of "I'm here" um, manner.
So the carriage rolls on. Um, you build a sense of safety inside the walls of the carriage, thanks to the efforts of both the rector and Georgiana, who have actually successfully sort of brought you back to this sense of safety, like that you're
Mm,
surrounded by these people who care for you, and who genuinely want the best for you, and that kind of provides that sort of protective envelope. Um, and you don't like you have really strong memories, but you don't see or feel that desperate need to look out the window.
mm,
And the carriage rolls on through the night. The next day, you arrive in London, tired, weary, you know, not particularly
Emotionally
emotionally
unstable.
drained.
oh, yeah.
You didn't sleep well despite all the efforts. I mean, you never sleep well on a moving carriage, but um, I also imagine that with the fear that you had when you finally made it to the coach house and rested for the night, even then, there was this like staying up awake at night because, of course, you were Georgie, the Viscountess, and the two wards were able to share a room. The rector was in a room by himself, you know. But that also meant, Viscountess, that you didn't have that protective sort of feeling of the rector, you know, sort of
You
in the
know.
room with you.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you don't probably think of Georgiana as a protector. To your point, you see her very much as something you protect rather than something that protects you. So there's a genuine sort of, it would be very difficult for you to be reassured by Georgiana's presence because that relationship is pretty much one directional when it comes to that sort of
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, so the next day you arrive in London. At this point, London is a even at this point, London is a thriving metropolis of the period. It's you know, packed to the gunwales with humans, and as you come closer to the city, the stench, the smell of humanity crushed into a small place without effective sewerage systems is
Plus
quite
all the edibles.
it's quite overwhelming. And that's right, there's horses and cattle and everything else, you know, going down the streets. Um, there's not a lot of, and obviously this is still the period of the rookeries, so you have these giant slums, sort of dotted around the edges of London proper, where people are packed, you know. And at the same time, with the end of the war, there's depression and economic loss because the country is now no longer funding an army, and the inevitable result of that has crashed upon the economy and the people. So poverty is rife. Um, you ride into the city and on your carriage, and obviously you're going straight to the very nice part of the city where, you know, wealth and other things live, but you're forced to sort of ride past beggars and women, you know, dressed in very little things, in sort of alleyways, desperately calling out for male or female, for that matter, suitors who have got a couple of coins. Um, you can see and smell the tanneries that convert, you know, sheep and cattle skins into leather. Um, it's a thriving port as well, so you can hear the distant jangle of, you know, ships and people calling out trade and other goods. The carriage itself, it's clearly been raining because the roads that you're riding on for the most part are not even cobbled. They're just dirt and, you know, mud and other things are being flung up. You arrive at your mansion, which is a mansion. There's no debate. You have a beautiful house in the middle of the city, and are instantly greeted by, you know, very well dressed servants, who, but for your grace and willingness to pay their money, would be in exactly the same place as all the people you've just ridden past. And you just have
Mm.
this moment where you're struck by the thought that the difference between poverty and wealth is the whim of a single person, and then your brain goes, and the difference between life and death is no different.
Mm.
It's an unsettling thought.
Um,
I think I think that like as we've been moving forward, so I think that Eliza had a very fitful sleep through the night, and I think that she couldn't help but like start to journal as initial notes what she had seen, and like like trying to kind of get the sight of Culverton's face out of her head. And I think that when that thought crosses her, I think that she immediately writes it down. And like for this journaling kind of entry, it's also like free flow ideas for a potential novel if she ever decides that she's no longer going to run around, or finds a suitor. Could I roll my literature skill, please?
you have been desperate to use it.
I
I
have
think
so been desperate.
I think you should roll your literature skill.
Excellent. And now we'll see whether Eliza Hastings will be a famous novelist. In one roll.
Yes, she
Yes!
will
Hard
be.
success!
Hard success. At a minimum, you're going to be publishing those one of those short story magazine things that were popular at the
Yeah.
period. I was actually reading about the ones that are.
Anonymous, because the Gothic novel was almost on its way.
It's true.
Mm,
Because
Yeah.
exactly.
when is Le Fanu publishing? It's already done, isn't it? It's 1816 by now.
I think
Mm,
that Gothic novels were actually there sort of before,
Mm.
what we think of as Jane Austen, and that they were sort of the
Mm,
predecessors between those really early ones like Samuel Johnson and Henry Fielding. And actually, Jane Austen sort of parodies a lot of them in some works like Northanger
Ruby
Abbey.
and stuff. Yeah. Okay. So
So there was plenty of melodramatic fiction that you can build off and do better
mm,
mm,
than.
yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
Or
Great.
do exactly the same as and
Nice.
sell.
Absolutely.
What
Well,
does the market want?
correct. Well, also as well, there were a lot of like serialized little short stories, like the Pickwick Papers and things like that, like Dickensian type short stories. So I definitely think that she's kind of leaning towards more of a serialized, set of things. But yeah, so she writes all those things down, and succeeds on that role as we get out of the carriage.
Perfect. You've written this really. So not only have you written notes, but you've actually started to write a story proper in your journal, like you've been musing, and these ideas are flowing from your brain. Um, and it's a story of loss and sadness, desperation and desire, all seeming to revolve around this character called Togarini, who sort of wants to wants to achieve this one fundamental desire, but you haven't quite got it in your head what that desire is yet, but you know that there's something really powerful in that story. Um, and you just feel this real urge to sort of write more about this story, and you can feel the creative urge flowing through you.
Awesome, and to be honest, I think that that's great. That's really good. I think that as
It's
well, right?
good.
It's so good. Just like uh, as a player, I'm like, how fabulous. But I think that that really works as well because Viscountess has not talked at all about what
She
she's
has
heard,
not.
and I, in particular, would be definitely keeping this private.
Yeah.
So, in my book, I have the name Togherini and all of those kind of ideas laid out,
Yep.
but nobody else knows.
Yep. So you all sort of decamp into your very wealthy, safe space. And for the first time, probably in a good solid 2 or 3 days, you feel, you know, actually genuinely like you're in a place of protection. Like this is, the walls are up, the servants are out, poverty, death, all of those things are on the other side of that wall and those set of doors. They're not in here with you. You are powerful. Like this is you have control over your environment. You are not at the whim of anything. So you have the opportunity to sort of finally rest properly. And I assume you do. You take that opportunity. I assume
Oh
you
yeah.
all sort of go, gee whiz, I'm really tired. I might go have another nap. Um, maybe a
Yes.
second nap to follow the
Yeah.
first nap.
After the first kind of like day or so, um, and as I'm starting to recover a bit, I do feel the need that I have to go to church. And so I drag the rector off with me to so that I can go and light candles in our local cathedral. I'm sure it's a lovely one. And
St. Paul's, St. John's.
Yeah. I'm imagining St. Paul's at this point. Like,
Mm,
go big. Go big.
yes.
You
no,
know,
I'm going and lighting candles there at the chapel because that thought when we were coming out of the carriage of like life and death is just like a snap of a finger, like brought back the death of my husband to me, like the shock of seeing him pass from a heart attack. And then also, the North Lakes and the devastation that they experienced. So I'm just going and lighting candles for all of those people that I'm remembering and thinking about how I could somehow make amends because she's like, I still feel so guilty about that poor angel.
So you are lighting candles with the Reverend. Have you brought the wards with you, or is it just
No, I wanted to just do this by myself.
okay? So you're there in the cathedral with the rector, who is obviously also very prayerfully. My God, Purbeck, is that you?
Yes, yes. And I'll turn
So
to see him
you're looking at a woman you probably haven't seen for 30 years. Descendant of Huguenot Protestant refugees from France. Marielle Dubois. You would have last run into her when she was quite a young thing, just like yourself at the time. I mean, 30 years ago, you would have been in your early 20s, and
yes,
so was she. You were both young, bright things on the,
on the marriage market.
on the circuit. Before the ton was a thing, there was, some version of the ton. She looks thin, uh, almost gaunt, and is wearing a sort of a beautiful dress though, like stunning, like clearly wealth has not evaded her. And you're reminded that several years ago you heard that she had married quite well, having married, what was his name? I think it's Anthony. Her husband's name is, I think it's Anthony. Let's go with Anthony for now. Who is an incredibly wealthy banker in the city, making very significant money. I will get you his name. Yes, Anthony Dubois. Oh my God, I just can't believe it's you. I haven't seen you in decades.
Dubois. I cannot believe it either. You've only just arrived in town. Are you?
Oh, I'm amazing. When she says that, when she says the words amazing, you can hear a sort of, well, actually, make a psychology roll for me. And actually, so can you, Rector, since you're sort of standing there off to one side looking quietly.
Okay. You never know.
This could be your day.
No.
It's not for either of you. All right. No.
She's
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah, so apparently she feels amazing. Yeah, no, look, I feel amazing. Look, it's so lovely that you're here and the timing is perfect. I don't know if you're aware, but Anthony's quite the patron of the arts.
Is he? Oh,
Yes.
I've always loved art. Victor and I were not that long ago on the continent, going and seeing all the art.
Oh,
Very, I know, but beautiful nonetheless.
look, Anthony has sponsored so many art collections, and he trusts my judgment impeccably. Look, I know it's very rushed, but if you had time, perhaps you'd like to come to to tonight's showing. We're doing a special showing tonight where we're inviting just the best people, of course. People of a certain class.
Would be delighted to attend. Would it be appropriate for me to bring my wards with me? They're both very fine young ladies.
Well, she at this point she sort of flicks out a bit of a fan and does this with it for a second and goes, well, there will be a number of men of a certain eligibility at the thing. I
Sam
mean,
is also shut down.
remember when our mothers took us to that dance? I met Anthony. You met your husband.
Do remember. And, well, of course, that is the purpose for our visit to London, was to meet some suitable young men.
Well, Anthony has the finest of contacts. I'm sure you understand. Only the right sort of people.
Oh, I would be so delighted to attend. Thank you so much for your invitation. How wonderful
Look,
to have seen you here.
please, and she puts a card in your hands. Please do come tonight. And as she does that, as her hand touches your hand, you feel this sudden chill in your hand, and you look down for just a second. Her hand looks grey and stony, but then it passes. It's like just a moment. You're obviously having a flash.
A flashback.
Yeah.
In this church, what strange.
Meanwhile, it's absolutely
Really
freezing.
freezing.
No, it's actually summer in it because it's after Easter, so it's
Yeah.
actually quite warm.
Yeah.
It's quite nice. So, well, actually, it's horrible and stinky in London.
Yeah,
I can't
London.
imagine 1816 London in the heat is a good thing. I just don't have a world where
Totally
I don't have
reading.
a worldview where that sounds or makes it good. So we'll just assume it's pretty bad. But you know, you've got your little smelling bag with the sweet herbs or whatever it is that you're using
Lavender and
Yeah,
things.
to
Yeah.
clear the miasma so that you don't
Yeah.
get sick. Um,
yeah.
you're one
But
step off
anyway,
wearing the
this
big beak,
Yeah.
jamming it full of miasma stopping herbs. Um, Rector, what would you like to do? You're in the church, you know.
oh, well, I actually just want to take in the sights of the church. That's all. I mean, it's such a glorious structure.
It's
So
amazing. This giant testament to power and God and endless the belief of 1,000 years of pilgrims kind of thing, sort of wrapped up. And now obviously St. Paul's has been built more recently than that, but that sort of feeling of majesty that comes with the
it's
construction of it.
pinnacle of worship. Yes.
Um,
So yeah, no, I'm actually just wandering around and looking at the art, and if I come across any of the clergy, then greet them and have a chat with them about the wonder of God and His
so
wondrous
so you're
place.
wandering around talking to the clergy. You see a clergyman. He's tall, not super tall, but reasonably tall. Somewhat heavily built,
Mhm.
wearing black robes and a small white dog collar. You can't place the order to which he belongs, but he's clearly like he's clearly a priest. Um, you're a bit confused because it does look a trifle Catholic. But then of course St. Paul's is High Anglican, so trifle Catholic, High Anglican, it's
Yeah.
really the same thing. Anyway, as you're wandering around, he comes up to you. Oh, he's got a French accent, um, which I'm not going to try and replicate. Because it'll sound comedic, and that's not the intention. Um, got to dodge those comedic moments.
Good morning, he
Hello.
says. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hello. Hello. How are
I
you?
see you've been checking out the art connoisseur, are you,
Oh,
sir?
yes, yes, yes. I've just come back from the continent and looking at some fine arts in
Oh,
Venice and
Venice.
Paris, Rome, and
Did you have a
it's
chance to see anything particularly good, say Caravaggio or similar?
actually, a matter of fact, Caravaggio is my favorite artist, in fact.
Is he?
He is indeed.
He's one of my favorites too.
I
Don't you
see.
just love the depth that he brings to every image? The the reality, the the terror, the fear, the joy, the hope, the way he takes those biblical scenes and makes them real and
Does make it
manifest.
real. He brings out their inner being, and you can just feel it oozing from their very souls.
Absolutely. I must ask. It, you seem very knowledgeable. Can you make a I know fine arts roll, please?
I'll give it a go.
It's an
Okay.
86. Would you like to push it?
Oh, why not? How do I push it? Yeah. How do I push it again?
I think you don't you just click on it?
You do, just click on it.
Yeah, and then you can
One
hit the
tens dice. Okay.
go.
Scroll down. There we go.
There it
Okay.
is. Yeah,
Alrighty, sure, I'll push it.
excellent, perfect.
Oh,
It's all good.
other than yes, yes, that's right. Yes.
Oh, look. He asked you a whole stack of really complicated, very detailed questions about Cavaggio's life that you're like, hold on, did that actually happen? Like,
I probably did know it at one stage, but I'm a lot older these
yeah,
days.
exactly right. Look, I
Um,
tell you what, I don't know if
uh,
you know, but we have. I can I show you a painting? It's very it's been done by an artist who's a very big fan of Cavaggio's, and we've just recently gotten it.
um, the lady Purbeck is also interested in art at the
Oh,
moment.
look, she seems very busy at the moment. He points across, and you can see she's having
Oh,
a conversation with some woman at the moment.
all right. Yes, yes, you're quite right. Yes, she's catching up with somebody that she knows.
Yes, yes. Look, this will just be a second. I'm once you've seen it, I'm sure you'll. I
Oh,
mean, it'll
oh,
be here.
okay.
You can
Sounds
come.
very special. Are you
It
sure?
abs.
Sounds.
Look, I'm
Hmm.
certain we've really just acquired it. It's quite an amazing image, and he takes you around a corner, which is weird because you don't have a distinct memory of St. Paul's having corners in the way that you feel like you've just walked around one. Um, and you're showing this painting. There's an angel standing at the back of the painting, holding a sword, a light, a seraphim, one of God's chorus, sort of holding the blade alight. The
Yeah.
guardians of Eden, the warriors against Satan's forces. Um, but he's offering up his own internal organs. Like he's got his own heart and his own intestines, and you can tell they're his. You don't quite know how, but he's offering up to the seraphim this in this kind of supplicant mode, like he's seeking wisdom from this seraphim.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
But it's rendered in this really strong style that's very reminiscent of Cavaggio. And the man who's holding up his own organs has the halo that's normally associated with a saint painted around his head, like the golden
Yeah.
sphere that's normally painted around his head. Don't you just love the interpretation that this man has brought to the art, the wisdom, the genius?
I'm still trying to comprehend the meaning of this piece.
Oh,
Perhaps you could enlighten me
I
a bit.
mean, it's the obvious, isn't it? Like, what art thou willing to give to get wisdom from God?
You give thyself, I guess.
Exactly. Doesn't the Bible talk about sacrifice?
Eh, yes, yes, it does. I'm still quite confronted by this because even Cavaggio, whilst Cavaggio has the lopping off the head of of folk and he doesn't do the gore like this though. This is getting towards Goya.
Well, yes, I guess so. Oh, and
This,
if you look at the back of that painting, can you just make out? Oh, seems some sort of building or something.
yes, what is the building? Hmm.
Um. Oh my God, how amazing! I think that's St. Paul's.
Yes, you can see the dome and the wings of St. Paul's. This is I'm not really familiar with this piece. So who did you say the artist was?
Oh, I sorry, I forgot to mention um Guy Valaquin. But perhaps you've heard of him.
What was his name? Sorry.
Guy Valaquin.
Bella
Make
Quinn.
a make another fine art roll for me, please.
Well, I'd like to make one at least. Yeah, that's better. And I will push the luck on that as well because I think this might be important. All right.
So you don't. The name rings a very vague bell. This is some minor French artist, which is already ruling out most of your interest before it even began.
Yeah.
Who turned
They can
up
be
in
try hard
London
sometimes.
about 15, 20 years ago as a refugee from the revolution. So had fled France as a result of the revolution. Um, Quite a controversial artist in that he was quite famous for painting quite controversial things. But last you heard, had ceased to paint. Maybe he died. Who knows? He was a pretty minor player in the art scene and had disappeared.
Okay. Well, I mean, I ask him if this artist is still painting. Is this
Uh, yes. Yes, he is. He's
oh
still painting.
okay? And is this typical of his art?
Oh, I think so. This is one of his more reflective pieces. But yeah.
It's kind of deviates from a lot of the artwork that I'm seeing in this St. Paul's.
Oh, well, I mean, we've got a lot of money and we got to sponsor some interesting art. And I personally think the message of self-sacrifice for awareness and for wisdom is so powerful, don't you? It's the very thing.
Yes, yes. Well, it's certainly very confronting. So, do I actually can I have no idea of identifying what order this man is really in, and
No, you still can't quite pick it. It's like that looks kind of vaguely priestly and it gives a vibe of priestly, but I don't recognize the specific
is
order.
he actually so knowing that you do this like dress up in the garb, the habit or the
Yeah.
every every day.
Hmm.
Is this does he look like he has all the trimmings and everything in the right place and everything sits right? He's tying the knots of things properly and
So, what do you have that you could roll to assess? I'll let you make the decision what you want to roll.
religion.
Go for it. Makes sense to me.
Yep.
59. God,
Um,
you are like 3 points off everything, aren't
I
you,
know.
today?
I'm gonna burn my luck on that. I need some luck remaining.
Um,
Yeah.
it. He definitively gives you the feeling that he belongs to a religious order. Like, you have no doubt in your mind
Yeah.
that this person belongs to a religious order. You just can't pick it. Maybe it's some obscure monastic group that you haven't encountered. Like, that's kind of the feeling you get as you walk away because you're sort of looking at him and then you turn away to look at the art again. And when you turn back around, he's he's gone and it's kind of faded
Okay.
into the crowd.
All right. That is a very weird
And
priest.
when you look back at the art, you're looking at a painting of the crucifixion of Christ. It looks
Yeah.
pretty familiar. It's certainly not the painting you were just looking at even 20 seconds ago.
Do I feel like, I mean, do I feel like he's done something with my mind, or is it a
Make an occult
feeling of,
roll.
yeah, I'll miss it by three, by the way.
Yeah, I'm counting on it.
No, I missed it by much
You
more.
missed it by
I think
27.
I'm still stunned by the sheer confrontation of this angel spilling its guts, and yeah. Mm.
Okay, the two wards are back at the house. You've had a really calm day. You've had a calm couple of days actually by now. You've had a chance to recover. Um, there's a sort of knocking, there's a you're both awoken slash are already awake but taking brunch in the morning, that is, by the one of the maids who says, "Oh, excuse me, my ladies Wentworth and Hastings. Um, there's a woman at the door who claims to know you. A Mary, a Mary Johnston." You both sort of look at each other for a second. The name rings a very vague bell, but it's not particularly Memorable, sorry, my apologies.
Hmm. Yes, I'm not sure we know a Mary Johnston, but if she has claimed that, let her in.
Okay.
We are receiving. Are we not, cousin?
Oh, certainly. Uh, yes. Certainly, show her in. We wouldn't want to be rude.
Of course not. Particularly not now that we are in the capital.
Uh, she's a. The maid goes to say something and says, "Oh, okay," and then disappears off.
No, no. No, no. What were you going to say?
Um,
Speak.
um, she's not. Well, she's not particularly well dressed.
I see. Is there a more appropriate, less expensive room
Is there a
for
different
which?
door she can come through?
Yeah, well, like a bit, but I mean, like a room, like kind of a drawing room, or an entrance room that
Yeah.
we could perhaps sit in instead,
Yes, there
rather
definitely
than the
is.
the the place with all the fine china and
Yeah,
things.
where things might go
Yeah,
missing, she might knock things over, she might touch things, that sort of thing. Um,
exactly.
yeah. Yes, there is. So you can,
Yeah,
meet us in the drawing room and
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Mm.
Uh okay. The You're both sitting in, you're both waiting. Your tea service is now out.
Mm.
Um a woman about your age, give or take. It's not clear. A bit
Mm.
younger, a bit older. It's not quite clear. Sort of stumbles into the room. She looks at both of you. Um, she's quite drawn and a little confused slash concerned. She she looks at you, Georgiana, for a second, and you feel like she knows you, and you are damn sure you don't know her. Um, she looks at you and goes, um, I think I think we met once. And I know this is going to sound weird, but my um well, I just feel like I needed to say to you that there's some very odd things going on, and I wanted to come and find you because well, there's this voice, you see, and sometimes it talks to me, and it really wanted me to come and talk to you.
voice you say, and I guess she will just exchange looks subtly with
Mm,
Eliza, um,
mm.
which could perhaps mean this is a crazy person, or it could perhaps be trying to hide the fact that Georgiana is slightly uneasy about that, maybe.
I,
And
I think that Eliza will kind of give the same look to Georgiana, trying not to belie the fact that we heard her speaking in tongues not 24 hours prior.
Absolutely.
Um, and also don't forget, I saw the claws in their initial ritual, and that guy died with her claws. She hasn't forgotten. It's in her brain. She's just keeping it locked away until the proper moment. But yeah, I think that we kind of humor this woman. Well, that's no good. Come sit down and have a cucumber and dill mayonnaise sandwich or whatever they put on
Definitely
them.
cucumber
I
sandwiches.
don't I
Yeah.
don't think they came until Victorian times, so it'd be more like, small cakes and things like
Oh,
that.
okay. Have a small cake.
I feel
Or
like the
just
cucumber sandwich should be eternal, but that's just an opinion.
Yeah, I agree, but that's fun. Or maybe it's a little like like strawberry or raspberry tort.
Yes, a strawberry
Yeah.
raspberry torte. That's
um
perfect.
what is this voice you speak of?
Oh, it sometimes it comes to me at night and it talks to me and it helps me. Like there was this man who was being really unhelpful and
Mm.
and the voice came and talked to me about it and I said some things that the voice told me to say and then the man he stopped being a problem.
I I see. Uh why has this voice told you to come to us?
Well, so last night the voice came to me really, really strongly, like stronger than it's ever come. And it was really angry and well, I mean, yes. Sorry, it wants to be clear that it doesn't. Well, anyway, I yes, yeah, okay. Um, it. I think you should know that the voice is scared. No, I'm telling them.
Scared.
Mm.
Yes. Well, okay. Annoyed. Just worried for you.
For
Scared.
me.
Yes. Well,
I
you see, you've all sort of it can feel the. I don't really understand what it's telling me, but it wants me to tell you that um that you're all part of something like the past and the future are kind of the same thing. And so the voice can sometimes see the future because it comes from the past, and it's got a really good eye for when time is. I don't know what I'm saying. Hopefully you do. And yeah, it just knows that you're going to a place where it doesn't want to be, and things you're going to
I
have to be very brave.
um of course, now who is this voice? What is this voice you're telling us about?
Oh, it's a friend. It's really helpful, and it comes along and doesn't ask for very much, and it doesn't like men very much, but neither do I. And then it makes it makes bad men go away, and it's all about making me powerful. And all and it's been I mean it says you understand. I like that you already know what it's about. In fact, it says that it's very thankful for all the help you gave to it and recognizes that you did that to save yourselves, but it's okay because you helped it too, so that's all right.
I see. Now, does this voice have a name or?
Well, it says if you can't work that out, then it's not real. It's never told me its name, but it says you should already know its name because you were there.
I see.
In the past.
Well, I think so. I don't know. Well, of course, in the past because it's not the future because it's already happened.
Mm. It can see the future because it's from the past, and the only thing that we met in the past. Did we meet in the past, Georgiana?
I I'm not sure, and I guess she'll very quietly say to Eliza, "I I'm not sure if she knows what she's saying. Perhaps this is unconnected to anything we've seen before, and this is simply a case of madness."
She definitely looks mad.
Mm. You might be right. But with everything that we've just seen, the weirdness on that carriage, the circular nature of the occurrences that we had in that graveyard, in that forest, I'm keen to understand as much as we can with this thing. I have a sense, I've told you yesterday, cousin, I have a sense of foreboding.
Just checking, are there any servants or is there anyone else in the room with us at the moment?
No.
Okay, good. Um, I guess Georgiana will, she's torn between, well, there's a lot of that going around, but she's not sure if she wants to try and get rid of this person as soon as possible, partly because, having a crazy person in the house is bad for their reputation, but also
Mm,
this is sound, despite what she is saying, this is very familiar to her, obviously, and she
mm,
kind of doesn't want Eliza to catch on any more than she has. She's pretty
mhm.
sure that Eliza has probably cottoned on to most of this, but at the same time, just in case, better keep as much of a lid on this as possible. Because I
Mm.
don't think Eliza would know about the whole voice in the head thing. The
No,
other stuff,
no,
yes, but
not at all.
yeah,
Not at all. Although, I guess you did speak out loud in another voice.
yeah,
So it kind of, if you know, I don't think I would think that you had a voice in your head as well,
yeah,
but there's still some perhaps connection to something. I don't necessarily think that Eliza believes it's the same thing as this necessarily, because this woman
yeah.
is mad, but she's not discounting it, I don't think.
Yeah. And Georgiana is afraid that this might give Eliza that idea. So
Mm,
she wants to get information from her
yeah.
because she's pretty darn sure now this is the voice in her head in this woman now. And she wonders, is this
Mm,
voice just skipping different people? Does like the same entity just exist at the same time in many, many people's head? What is going on?
mm,
And also, it's while it's sort of relieving that she no longer has a voice in her head, it's also sort of worrying if there's something that has scared this force that she knows is very powerful and tells them, oh, there's something bad coming that even I don't want to mess with. Be careful and
mm,
be brave and stuff. So that's shaken her a bit.
mm. I,
Um,
I am. I might interject then, if that's fine, and say to the woman, so what was? Oh, Mary Johnston, correct? That is your name.
Yes.
Do you believe in occult practices, Mary?
I don't know what that. She looks at you blankly and. Oh, uh, well, I'm a God-fearing woman, of course.
I see. I think she says, shall we sit here on the settee and clasp our hands together in prayer?
But of course, well, no, she doesn't want to do that. No, look, uh, oh, 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 no, I'm sorry. I think we might need to go. Look, she just wants you to know that she won't be able to help you, and I do really hope you survive.
I look at the end of the day, again, I always say this, second last campaign, right? Second last little campaign, and we might all die in this one. I'm not leaving anything to chance if I can. I walk right up to her, and put my hands on her shoulders, and then touch our foreheads together, forcibly, and say, "You will reveal the secrets." And I want to try and spontaneously cast a Cthulhu Mythos spell to commune with
Okay,
this
I
entity and
think
try and learn what it's trying to desperately not tell us.
so. That's a Cthulhu Mythos roll, I believe.
Yes,
Go for it.
absolutely. Great. Because I've never
You're
done
well on the
this.
way.
Absolutely, right? Oh, sorry,
Yep.
1 sec. I need to log
Already
in.
yourself in it.
Yeah. Here we go. Oops. Sign in. Sorry, it logged me out for some reason. Here we go. Boop. Loading. Mhm.
Georgiana, is there
This would
anything
be
you wanted
wild.
to do while Eliza is practicing dark magic on the person?
Um, I guess. So what Georgiana sees is she is her cousin walk up and sort of bang heads with this woman. Is there anything else that can she feel anything, or does it just look like Eliza is walking up and banging her head on this woman?
Yeah, that's kind of how it plays out because with that roll, it
Yeah.
definitively isn't a success. So,
Yeah.
In that case, Georgiana just looks on slightly nonplussed at this.
yeah,
She's not sure what Eliza is trying to do, but at the same time, Eliza
apparently neither
does
is Eliza.
sometimes have flights of fancy, even long before this whole thing kicked off. So she just okay.
Okay, so
But she'll walk over and she'll just say to the woman, if your friend wants us to survive, does she have any advice she wants you to pass on to us? Any more specific warnings or anything that could help us in whatever is coming?
um, so a couple of things happen pretty much immediately. So first of all,
Mm.
you've grabbed Mary by the shoulders, you've
Mm-hmm.
pushed your head almost violently into her head. Georgiana's then come over to say, "No, no, no, my friend's weird, but it's okay." And in a with a voice of absolute frustration, like the Mary's voice changes to that same kind of deep voice that you heard
Mm.
just the other night. Oh my god! That is not how you do it. And she grabs your shoulders and slams her head into your. And sorry, does not slam her head into yours. She grabs your shoulders and she just
Mm-hmm.
looks deep into your eyes.
Mm.
And you feel like you're getting this kind of, sort of wash of experience. You
Mm.
feel yourself burning to death on the stake.
Mm.
And you go, hold on. I know one person who was repeatedly burnt to death on a stake and might have an opinion about people. So make a sanity roll for me, please.
Yes, absolutely. So that definitively makes me think it's that woman that we met,
It's
the
pretty
owl
clear that it
woman.
is. Like you feel like you're
Yeah,
Sarah Brown. You
yeah,
there's no debate. You have the lived memory of standing on the pyre. You can see all the same people who you fought to rescue
yeah,
her from the
yeah.
stake, including the priest who you knocked out and all of that sort of stuff. Um, okay, take
Yes.
lose one sanity point.
That means I have a bout of madness, don't I?
Uh, this is the first sanity point you've lost this time round.
But I'm indefinitely insane, aren't I?
Uh, no, you can't. No, no, no. You're good.
Okay, okay.
It's
We'll
just one
we'll take
point.
it away. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Cool,
just
cool,
yeah.
cool, cool.
Um, so you have you sort of feel a frisson. Then Georgiana, you come across Eliza's kind of standing there shaking a little
Yeah.
bit now, and then sort of starts to scream and cry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it's not fun to be burnt to death at the stake. It's not fun at all. Um, she looks at you while Eliza's off, sort of having a moment
Oh,
in the corner.
I rush off to try and quickly jump into a bath.
Bath of water, or
Yeah,
there's a pond
yeah.
out. There's a pond out the back.
Uh, we have enough water in this house that I'm
Sure.
sure I'll be able to find a bath somewhere.
Okay, so you're jumping around looking for water to put out the
Yeah,
fire.
yeah.
Um, Georgiana, you asked the question, and the voice that you are so familiar with, but usually coming from within your head, not coming outside of it. So it's a bit weird because it's talking to you, using another person's body. Um, Look, Georgiana, um, somehow you've all become part of some thing that I can't see within. So I can't see going to happen. Um, but it's very powerful magic. And I like you. You seem lovely. And you go, hold on. Yeah, actually, make a psychology roll for me.
Okay.
Because you're actually it's actually outside of your body talking to you.
This is probably not going to go well because I have 10 in psychology, but anyway.
That's okay. All right. No, you don't pick up anything specific. Well, unless you want to push it, but
No.
no. Good call. But look, all I know, all I can work out rather is you will need to talk to the grieving angel. I don't know what that is. That's the one thing I've been able to, through my own rituals, been able to glean is talk to the grieving angel.
I see. And I guess that Georgiana will have a flash that, I think she would remember Eliza and the Viscountess talking about an angel.
Yeah.
So that's slightly ominous. Well, thank you for all your help. I do appreciate it. And, well, um, please don't tax this poor girl more than you already have.
Oh, she's not a keeper. Not like you.
I don't quite know what to say to that, but thank you again.
If you'd made your psychology roll, I could have told you what you could say to that.
You're obviously more special.
Okay. After that exchange, so Eliza's run away. Mary sort of gets control of her body again and says, okay, I'm gonna, and she just runs out. She runs out the
Okay.
door, so she doesn't want to have, obviously, that was quite taxing. You're all sort of then gathering back together. You've had some pretty awful experiences. Eliza, you put out whatever fake fire you feel.
I've got in the Viscountess about my experience and talk about this picture of the angel and everything like that. I'm not intending on telling the other two unless the Viscountess mentions it to them.
Oh, no. I definitely would not talk to them about it.
No.
We're all feeling so fragile.
No.
And I obviously tell you about the invitation to the exhibition tonight. But also mention I had a strange flashback. I'll portray it as that I didn't perceive that it was real. I just thought it was my mind playing tricks on me because I've been through distressed by what happened in the carriage. Like, like when I took her hand, it was like stone cold. And when I looked down, it was actual stone. It's ridiculous. It was just, my mind has been just so unsettled. Victor, please pray for me.
Oh, every day I pray for you and your wards. I even pray for the fellow from Belgium.
Whoever he is.
Whoever he is.
Yes.
Who arrives
Um,
later that afternoon, by the way, with your goods.
I guess
Excellent.
Yeah.
when she hears about that, I guess Georgiana will think, we've been warned about something and now we're getting this art exhibition ticket magically. She might just say, Rector, Viscountess, we had a slightly odd visitor this afternoon. A lady, someone came to see us. She was warning us about something to come. Perhaps it was all just merely madness, but after all we've seen, I have a bad feeling. One thing she did tell us was, beware the grieving, that we need to talk to the grieving angel, and something is happening. I can't help but feel we're headed towards something, and I just wanted to tell you that. Like I said, perhaps it's all just someone who is merely mad, but I'm worried about this.
When you mention the grieving angel, the Viscountess sits down, like almost like collapses down onto the nearest couch or seat. It's going to creak alarmingly because usually she would lower herself gently onto furniture because she's such a large lady, but she just collapses and is like creaking sound because she's just so shocked to the core when you say grieving angel, and all she can think of is that like about what the angel she saw.
I
But Candace, are you alright? Do we need to get the smelling salts?
Yes, yes, please pass the smelling salts. I grieving angel. Do you know what she refers to when she said that?
I tried to find out more, but that was all she said before she ran out of the house. Something about, uh, just that something bad was coming and that she didn't want anything to happen to us, and to talk to the grieving angel. That was all I can really recall. Um,
Who is this woman? I mean, strangers don't just run off the streets and give us warnings and run away again.
well, this one apparently did. She said her name was Mary Johnston. The name is faintly familiar, but I do not. I can't. I didn't recall the woman at all. She seemed to know us, but well, that's that's all I can really say. Eliza, have you seen this woman before?
I think that like Eliza probably comes in at this moment. And kind of says, "Which? Oh, the woman, Mary. Yes. No, I haven't seen her before. She was interesting. Didn't really say too much, did she? Because I wasn't there when she told you that, so I wouldn't necessarily know that. Do you want to repeat it?
Um, I thought that Eliza. Okay.
No,
Well,
Eliza
it
was
was.
running away looking for wood.
Yeah.
Oh no, I meant I thought that Eliza was here in the group while the Viscountess was telling us about the art exhibition and all of that sort of thing.
Oh,
But
let's just say that she was there, but she was engrossed in her writing.
fair enough.
Um,
Eliza, Eliza, I don't know if you heard or not, but there was a warning about the grieving angel. What from this Mary Johnston. Now, I was just trying to remember if I knew this Mary Johnston at all, but I can't recall her at all. Is she an old acquaintance of yours?
And I think that you kind of see a look of concern flash over Eliza's face as she's kind of teleported back to that screaming carriage and sees the chain held high over the angel, and then it flashes to those like actually no, she didn't see what Vicatus Purbeck said. She just
Oh,
has
You saw the
the
angel in three stances, but you didn't
yes,
see it
yes.
shattered into 1,000 pieces.
Yes, angry and then kind of like wanting and then kind of sorrowful on the ground
Yeah.
looking up at us. And I think that it's that last image that kind of flashes most vividly in her mind as she kind of says grieving and is holding her teacup a little bit too tightly and it shatters in her hand. Um, she cuts herself. And just doesn't even think anything of it and lets everything fall to the ground as she kind of says, well, Vicantus, we saw on the way here. You remember I said it was an ill omen. The angel, the grieving angel, that was it was. Its final pose, prostrate, like a supplicant, like a, a squirming, retching thing looking up to us for succor. With a thing standing over it with a whip or chain or some sort of collar around its neck bound. We must find whatever this thing is.
And that's where we'll stop tonight. And that's where we'll stop. Hold on, I'll just